3 great ones of the city, in personal suit, to make me his lieutenant. Off-capped to him, and by the faith of man I know my price. I'm worth no worse a place. But he, as loving his own pride and purposes, evades them with a bombast circumstance, and in conclusion, none suits my mediators. For certes, says he, I have already chose my officer. And what was he? Forsooth, a great arithmetician, one Michael Cassio, a Florentine, that never set a squadron in the field, nor the division of a battle knows more than a spinster, unless the bookish Theric, wherein the togged consuls can propose as masterly as he. Mere prattle without practice is all his soldiership. But he, sir, had the election, and I, of whom his eyes had seen the proof, at Rhodes, at Cyprus, must be belied and calmed. He must in good time his lieutenant be, and I, God bless the mark, his moorship's ancient. Preferment goes by letter and affection, and not by old gradation, where each second stood heir to the first. Now, sir, content you. I follow him to serve my turn upon him. We cannot all be masters, nor all masters cannot be truly followed. You shall mark many a duteous and knee-crooking knave, that, doting on his own obsequious bondage, wears out his time, much like his master's ass, for naught but provender, and when he's old, cashiered. Whip me such honest knaves. Others there are, who, trimmed in forms and visages of duty, keep yet their hearts attending on themselves, and throwing but shows of service on their lords, do well thrive by them, and, when they've lined their coats, do themselves homage. These fellows have some soul, and such a one do I profess myself. Heaven is my judge, not I for love and duty, but seeming so for my peculiar end. For when my outward action doth demonstrate the native act and figure of my heart and complement extern, 'tis not long after, but I will wear my heart upon my sleeve for daws to peck at. I am not what I am. Welcome to Drama with Llamas in Pajamas. Today you're just seeing me, Athanasia, because Ashley's little llama is arriving, and we're sending lots of good vibes to her and her new family, but as Shakespeare would say, the queen is indisposed. So I'll be doing July's episode, just me, and we will get her reaction and commentary later. So, today we're working on the incredible mega supervillain Iago from Othello, who is one of my all-time favorite Shakespearean characters. And, in the clip that you saw of my monologue, the way I concepted it, so the subtitle of Othello is The Moor of Venice. And in Venice, there are, if you didn't know, besides the canals, there are mostly just bridges and these narrow alleyways called calli. And I was trying to get a sense of Iago and his co-conspirator being, out of the way in a little gallo, kind of, conspiring as conspirators do, right? I tried shooting it at night, but I have a very low-tech camera. Stay tuned, and I might have better gear in the future to bring you some better concepted clips. But a note of housekeeping also, you saw a black object taped to my chest that was a heart monitor that my doctor ordered to collect some data for 2 weeks. Don't be alarmed. I hope you won't be distracted. So, onto Iago. Mwahahaha. Iago was often considered to be the vice character from a medieval morality play. 0 redeeming qualities. And indeed, he does walk right out onto the stage and announce himself to be a supervillain. My monologue is from Act 1, Scene 1 of Othello. But this is why Shakespeare is such a genius. I honestly think Iago is just as tragic of a figure in this play as Othello, except that we meet Iago at his point of no return. We don't see his rising action. We don't see him and his good characteristics. We don't see him battling against his urges to, behave untragically. We just see his, that's it, screw the world, I'm going to be a supervillain origin story, and it all goes downhill from there. And that's why Iago is such a cautionary tale. Because if you listen to his speech, and if you look it up, it's not hard. Open Othello to literally the first page. Not a very difficult homework assignment. It's astonishing how relatable it is. Iago is upset because he has been passed over for a promotion which he believes he is qualified for. And he's probably right. He says, I, of whom his eyes had seen the proof at Rhodes, at Cyprus. Iago's been following Othello's military leadership for quite some time. He's done noble, loyal service. And he's been given the moniker Honest Iago is kind of a theme throughout this play. But he's the ensign, or in some editions, the ancient, which is a flag carrier. It's not a super prestigious position. And Iago really wanted to be lieutenant. He wanted to be the right-hand man and sing the, Hamilton song, right? And he says, 3 great ones in the city in personal suit to make me his lieutenant, off cap to him. He got 3 well-reputed references to go talk to Othello and say, you should pick this guy to be your lieutenant. Why? He has a lot of skill. He has a lot of experience. You know him. He's done you personal service. He's from Venice. He's going to be loyal to the great naval power that is Venice. And I think this was the 15th or 14th century when this play is set. He's your guy. And Othello says, nope, sorry. I picked somebody else. As we say in Chicago, I got a guy. And what was he? Iago will have you know, an arithmetician. He's book learned, but he's never been to war. And he's from Florence. He's not even from Venice. And his name is Michael Cassio, and he is the villain in Iago's story, even though he's generally a nice guy and not entirely hapless as a lieutenant. But Iago's big mad. And he frankly deserves to be. I first read Othello when I was 14, had just turned 14. And even though I hadn't had the opportunity to go for a promotion yet at age 14, I already could relate because as an actor, I had been passed over for roles. I had auditioned for roles and been well qualified for these roles, and lots of people knew that, and yet the director said, nope, I'm gonna pick some cuter girl because she's cuter. Never mind that she can't sing very well. Never mind that she has no emotional expression and we have to coach her and lead her by the hand through this whole thing. And I'm sitting there like, girl, you put me in the chorus again? What's wrong with you? finally did get my first lead right around the time when I was reading Othello, and it felt good, and I did my best and had an amazing time. And I would like to think that if that hadn't happened, I still wouldn't have had a villain origin story. But it begs the question, can we be sure? Like, James Zogby, who was the president of the Arab American Institute back in 2005, when I heard him speak, said, "Young men shake their fists because they have nothing in them." Facts. And Iago doesn't feel appreciated. He thinks people are being fake nice, and his friends aren't really his friends, and he's over it. And so he becomes a supervillain. Disney had to learn it from somewhere. Now, is Iago a good guy before this happened? No. He's clearly racist, right? The his moorship remark in this monologue is one of the least of his yucky insults that he says about Othello behind his back. And we'd like to think that we left that behind in the 14th century where this is set. I'm not sure we did, but we should try. Little PSA there. But yeah, he's super racist. And as you've seen alluded to in our Shakespeare's Women episode, he's also not a very good husband. Amelia darkly hints, that's his wife, Amelia darkly hints that he has perpetrated DV against her, that he has cheated on her, that he has denied her, basic needs in the relationship, and she's felt like she's had to sink to his level in order to survive in that relationship. She's sort of trying to coach Desdemona that, if your husband's not treating you super well, you don't have to sit there and take it. Now, hashtag spoiler alert, Desdemona does, in fact, sit there and take it. She becomes a victim in this tragedy. As does literally every character that I've mentioned. Othello, Desdemona, Iago, Emilia, Cassio, everybody. They all go down with the ship. So you're totally within your rights to be upset if you are passed over for a promotion for which you are qualified. Not at all within your rights if you decide to go and destroy somebody's marriage and mess with their mind and go and kill people. Very much not okay. And not even like Lady Macbeth style justifiable. Totally warrantlessly not okay. Like Iago just needed a chill pill. What's really interesting about this monologue is that the last line, "I am not what I am," is spoken by one other character in Shakespeare, and I cannot take credit for this idea. A buddy of mine from art school pointed it out and wrote about it in a paper. One other character says, "I am not what I am." Can you guess which one? If you can, you absolutely win mad props and the joy of being right. It's Viola from Twelfth Night, who is universally regarded as one of the good guys. In Act 3, Scene 1, line 145, she has basically just rejected Olivia again in the disguise of Cesario. And Olivia's like, "Tell me what you think of me." And Viola says, "I do think you are not what you are," meaning you're drinking the Delulu lemonade, sister. And Olivia just shoots back, "If I think so, I think the same of you." And Viola says, "Then think you right. I am not what I am." Huh. Very simple phrase, yes, but Shakespeare had one of the most massive vocabularies on the planet, and when he couldn't find a word that suited, he just made one up. The fact that one of his most beloved heroines and his most reviled supervillain use the same line. What does that say about human nature? Maybe we're all pretending a little bit more than we'd like to think. Maybe authenticity is hard. Be more like Viola than Iago in how you handle that. This is definitely the type of situation when it's best to save the drama for thy llama and non-violently for the stage. I leave you with this thought. This monologue of Iago's is where we get the expression wearing our heart on our sleeve. So, yes. I do encourage you to dig into the villains. It's been a real balm for me. It's a great option when you're stressed, just to channel it all through supervillains who, don't think twice about killing and torturing people that you would never do in real life, and just, scream about it, let it out of your system, and then that's done. You've metabolized the feelings. You can go on with your life in a much more evolved, centered way. But yeah, their text is gorgeous. Their motivations are not unfamiliar to us, and they're one of the qualities that just make Shakespeare so delicious to read. So, yeah. You definitely are going to want to keep tabs on us. Stay tuned for Ashley's return, more commentary. For our next few episodes that we drop, we will be getting you as much content as we can. Not sure what schedule it's going to be on, so this is a really great time to please remember, if you like our vibe, there is that button that is called subscribe, and hit that bell so you always know when we post new little Shakespearean gems.